I'm Simon Beardsley from Lincolnshire Chamber of Commerce, and a very warm welcome to this ChamberConnect webinar. I'm here as your host of the session today, which is a really practical one again about growing your network through LinkedIn. And thank you for joining us and connecting with us virtually today. Our ChamberConnect series have replaced our normal face-to-face events, but at this time we feel it's still vitally important to connect and inform. I'd just like to make you aware that today's session is being recorded and it will be available to rerun via our website shortly. So we've now been approximately 3 weeks into lockdown with new ways of working and remote working slowly becoming a normal way for us. As a chamber, we continue to connect and support with you, your staff and your businesses to keep you up to date and share the latest information. We've been working hard with our colleagues at British Chambers as we seek to further get explanation of the variety of business support schemes that are on offer, but also to represent your voice both on a local and national presence as well. We're currently gathering intelligence about how business are finding their experience of the local and national government support schemes. So please share your experience with us, whether they be positive or negative, at marketing@links-chamber.co.uk. Equally, we're also seeking your views, news and stories, so feel free to send those again to marketing@links-chamber.co.uk. And throughout, we've been trying to provide a hub of information. If you haven't been to our website so far, www.links-chamber.co.uk, and click on our COVID-19 hub, you'll find lots of hints, tips, information that's regularly updated, if not on an hourly basis. So far, just a plug also for our LinkedIn record. So if you haven't connected with us so far, we're putting lots of information on our LinkedIn pages. If you haven't connected, please make sure you do so at the end of this session. And it's the results of feedback is why we're here this afternoon and have led to the introduction of a series of webinars that we've called ChamberConnect. And this is very much meant to be an interactive session, and there will be a chance for you to ask questions, and we invite you to do so at the end of the session today. Sadly, in the midst of the current coronavirus pandemic, many small business owners are not able to fully focus on their usual business activities. So now is perhaps an excellent time for them to redirect their usual focus on being in their business onto being on their business. Over the next 20 to 30 minutes, we've asked Adrian Williams of Consistent Sales Excellence to discuss how LinkedIn can be utilised as an excellent vehicle on which to launch free and effective promotional campaigns for your business. A campaign that can help you to continue moving forward with your business during difficult times. During today's ChamberConnect session, Adrian will be covering the following topics in some detail: how to create an effective message, how to continue to reinforce your branding throughout messaging, how to automatically schedule your campaign posts, and how to expand your campaign reach. And as I said before, there'll be an opportunity for you to ask questions as well at the end of the session. How to do so, there are two ways. At the bottom of your screen, you'll be able to see that there's a chat button. If you click on that at any point through, it'll open a box on the right-hand side of the page. If you wish to put a question there, please do so throughout the session, and we can come to those and try and answer those at the end. There's also a chance to put your hand up virtually as well. So if you click on participants, it will give you a chance then to raise your hand virtually. And if you do so, at the end of the session, we can come to you and you can put your questions directly to Adrian as well. Now, we are expecting the session to run between 45 minutes and an hour. And for now, that's enough of an introduction from me. So I'd like to hand you straight over to Adrian, who will take on the session from here. Adrian, can you hear me?
Thank you, Simon. Good afternoon, everybody. Can you all hear me? Can you hear me? Good. These are indeed difficult times, everybody. And I would understand if people took the attitude of maybe I'll curl up in a ball and hibernate and wait for it all to go away. But that's not what we should be doing now. We should be putting more and more focus on our business to ensure that when we come out the other end, that we are going to be in a good position. I love LinkedIn. It has a number of advantages. First of all, it's free, which is always a major issue in today's current economic climate. But when used properly, it can be a really effective tool. In my normal day-to-day business, I would normally spend a number of hours with a client, bringing fresh eyes to their business, looking at their strengths, and putting together with them a specific campaign, a promotion, to take those strengths out into the marketplace. Obviously, with all you good people out there today, I can't do that. But what I can do is advise you on a good methodology to approach to doing your own marketing campaign through LinkedIn. I think if anybody's got, I'm going to take notes. I know you can have the recording at the end, which is good. But if you're going to take notes, I'm going to cover 5 main headings today. These are the 5 main threads of the discussion. First of all, the message. Secondly, branding. Thirdly, the call to action. And fourth, the reach of the message and where it's going out to. And finally, frequency, the frequency of getting the message into the market. Those are the 5 main threads of a good marketing campaign under LinkedIn. I'm going to cover them all one by one. If I start with the message, I'm going to start with a little bit of biology, which we all know, but we don't always think about. Is that the brain will register an image 10 times quicker than it will register words. The moral of this is that for me, I will always start every post with an image. And an image should be attached to every post if you want to get it seen. I must admit that, Joy, I have some concerns today about the things that I do that you may disagree with, and I'm happy for you to disagree with those. But what I can say is that the metrics from the campaigns that I've run with my clients have been excellent. So that's what I'm going to tell you, is how I do things. Obviously, you can adjust those and adapt those to how you want to do things. Okay, so we've got an image with every post. That's going to be a critical part of it. But people quite often don't get the images right. They will put a picture of themselves or a nice busy slide with pyramids and circles on and lots of words. That's not what the image is there for. The image is to catch that initial attention, and using an image that may not even be directly related to the content of the message. There's nothing wrong with that. If that image is eye-catching, you want them to look at that image and stop their brains momentarily to then carry on to the next stage down the line. Also within that message, and I'll be covering that in the branding session, we should consider doing branding. And I'll cover that off in the branding session, as I've just said. So there are a vast array of good quality, copyright-free images over the internet. And at the end, if people want to know the sources that I use to get my images, I'll be delighted to let you know. As I say, they're all free, they're all copyright-free. And once you've got that message, and you've got that image on your message, you can go to the message itself. The way I always construct my marketing messages via LinkedIn is a single opening line. And that opening line needs to catch people's attention. It doesn't matter if it's a question, doesn't even matter if it's contentious, but it's very important that that opening line catches people's attention. Because if you can catch their attention with that opening line, they will continue through their brain process, which is to continue to read. I always put a blank line after the opening line for 2 reasons. First of all, it highlights it, it emphasizes it. And secondly, just simply by the way LinkedIn structures the way you see posts, it means that the next line will be broken up in half, and you will see the See More button. The whole idea is to catch their attention with the image, catch their attention with the opening line, and then to get them to click on the See More button. That will let them to open the post, and that's where you put your message. Now the message needs to be short, and it needs to be relevant, and it needs to generate interest. It needs to tell people why they should carry on down this route of following you in this marketing campaign. Messages can vary, but they should always be precise and short and to the point. And they should always highlight the strengths of what you are offering the customers and what the benefit to the customer is. That's all that matters to people who look at these posts. And sadly, it's what's in it for me. And that's what you need to be getting across to people. Once you've got that in there, and I'll go back to the image now, what I like to do is ensure that you always brand that image. Now the image there are lots of facilities by which you can overlay text onto images that you've got on your computer. There are capabilities which are standard within LinkedIn, or if you want to do something much more sexy or more out of the box, a lot of free apps that you can download onto your computer or your phone. I use one called TextArt, T-E-X-T-A-R-T, but there are lots of them available. Just Google them on the internet. A typical example of branding, and this is a message that you want people to see and subliminally relate to you, is one that I've recently done with one of my private clients. That's Genius Technology Solutions. And I think Tony is here today from Genius Technology Solutions. And what we do quite simply is on each of those images that he produces in his posts, we put 2 words, and it's genius. Very simple, very straightforward, but it's catchy, and it is something which will register in people's minds. So that branding is important. My personal branding is #FreshEyes. And when I do my posts, I always superimpose that text on the images I use. So going back over that again, we always need an image with every post. We need eye-catching images, images that will register in people's brains. Because we all know that when we go to LinkedIn, we scroll down, and our brains register things to us that we think are interesting. And if that image is interesting, we will stop and look at that image. And we will read the first line of the message. So put the branding on that image, make the image interesting. That first line should stand on its own. It may be contentious, but it needs to be a real positive statement. I mean, we've seen on these Zoom sessions a lot of things in the papers, in the Guardian and other papers, saying there are some concerns about Zoom's integrity, where the servers have been accessed by other governments. I won't mention any names, but they have access to these communications. So maybe an opening statement like, "Is Zoom dangerous?" is something which will prompt people to want to read more of that post. So after that opening line, do the space bar, leave a space, and then start your next sentence. And hopefully that image will catch them, the opening line will catch them, and they will press the See More button, and they will go into the message itself that you've embedded in the post. And to bore you, that message within the post needs to be short. Don't give them a rambling diatribe. Just make the points, make the benefits of what you're delivering to your prospective clients simply and clearly within that message post. Okay, what you also have to do is to ensure that included in that message is a call to action. Now that call to action can be a number of things. Some people might have a link which allows people to download a pamphlet or a document about their products. Some people might have a call to action which tries to get people to give them a phone call or to contact them by email to chat. One of the biggest mistakes that people do on their call to action is just direct them to their website. Now, what you're doing is you're taking a specific message that you've put in your LinkedIn post and you're directing them to your website. And your website, by its nature, will be generic. It will be covering all the things that your business has to offer into the marketplace. But you're promoting a specific item or a specific service or specific product. And you want them to be led to that. So there's two ways of doing that. One way is to ensure that the link takes them to the right page within your website, excuse me, or that link takes them to a landing page that you have constructed, which has all the detail that you want them then to carry on reading, to promote them to really understand the benefits of what you're delivering to them. That shouldn't be in the message. That should be on this landing page that your call to action has asked them to click onto. So the process goes over multiple stages, and it's leading a client or a prospective client down a route. Look at the image, register the branding, go to the first line, click see more, short, sharp message to generate interest, then a call to action, and that call to action to go to a really relevant document, either the right page in your existing website or a specially constructed landing page which emphasizes the message that you've put within the post. If you do that, people will, when they're going through their LinkedIn posts, will see the image and they will follow that train of crumbs to get them where you want them to go, which is to that landing page or the specific page on your website, or to execute the other call to action that you've decided you want them to do in this instance. One of the mistakes people do is they do that call to action and it leads them to their website on the page which says, please contact me, please email me, right? That is just a letdown. People don't want to be taken down that route just to be told to get back to you via email or telephone call. What they really want is to see something which they can get hold of, something they can take value from, something that makes them have a further interest of what you're doing in your business. Now, bear in mind that at any particular moment, the statistics show that only 3% of the market are actively looking to buy product, your product in, for instance, or your service. But below that, there is another large percentage of 17% who have in their back of their mind that they might be interested or they should be interested in following down the route of the services and products you have to offer. And that landing page is the method in which you entice those people in the 17% bracket to move closer and closer to becoming part of the 3% bracket, people who are actively looking to address the issue, the problem, enhance their business, whatever it is your product or service you deliver has to offer. Okay, we've established now a methodology for creating good posts. Hopefully posts which will get people to follow through, go to the call to action and get more information, and will get them interested enough in your product to progress it. A post which will have emphasized your branding and will put your company, your business strapline, your image in their minds. However, I have seen some really high quality posts being put out there. People have spent a lot of money and a lot of effort and created, for want of a better term, the Mona Lisa of posts. The problem is if you then look at their LinkedIn profiles, you see they've got 27 contacts. So that post is going to go out there to the world, to those 27 people, and those 27 people are going to be really impressed with the work you've done. But unfortunately, to really be successful in marketing and having a campaign in LinkedIn, you need to get it out to as large a contact base as you can. Now, I have 8,500 clients or contacts on LinkedIn. And when I came to Lincolnshire 18 months ago, I actually had 3 in Lincolnshire. Now, I have gone through a concerted effort to add contacts in Lincolnshire because I'm an old fella now and Lincolnshire's far enough for me to drive. I want to build up my contact base in Lincolnshire. And over that 18 months, I have now got 3,500 Lincolnshire contacts. So when I do a post, it goes out to 3,500. That is where the numbers game comes in, and it's unavoidable. So what you need to do, and it's work, is you need to build your contacts. Now, building contacts is actually a pretty simple and straightforward process. It's a matter of discipline, and it's a matter of persistence. I mean, a lot of people think that I will only contact or send an invite out to people who I've met or I know. Well, that is not necessary. If you send them out at random, 60% of them, in my experience, will accept your contact request. Occasionally, people will come back to you and say, do I know you? In which case you just simply say to them, no, we haven't met, but I'm looking to build up my local contacts. I hope you will accept this contact request. We can't offend anybody. The other thing that you need to think about is, who should I send out these contact requests to? It can be very, very painstaking and very difficult if you think, my target market is very, very narrow and I've got to search out and find everybody in that target market. The bottom line is that most people, even in business to business type businesses, have a customer base which is bigger than they can conceive. So what I find is that just send out contacts, keep on sending out contacts, and those contacts will pass on your ideas to other people that they know who are in that marketplace or may need your service. They may not directly do so themselves, but they will pass it on, and it does get passed on. The other things to consider are, whenever I get a contact accepted, there is a standard facility within LinkedIn. You just press a button and it says, thank you for connecting, I hope you're doing well. That's a simple, common courtesy, but it works really well because quite often those contacts will come back and say, I'm well, thank you, how are you? And you start a dialogue with these people. And they quite often will turn onto that and say, I saw your post, tell me a bit more about it. Or, what's your business about? This is where you can build relationships through those contacts. Now, building contacts is something you just have to do. Even now, with 3,500 Lincolnshire contacts, I spend 15 minutes every day sending out contact requests to new contacts. Now, the LinkedIn algorithm is quite clever. If you send out, let's just say your focus is the National Health Service. If you send out requests for contacts for people in the National Health Service, LinkedIn recognises this, and as you gain more and more contacts in the National Health Service, it will offer you more contacts for you to connect to. So the more work you put into LinkedIn, the more it offers you better people to send your contacts out to. So you must continue to build those contacts. I'm sorry, there is no magic solution for doing that, but it doesn't matter how good your post is, how good your message is, how good your branding is, how good your call to action is and where it goes, the message you've got for your products. If you're not sending it out to contacts, vast number of contacts, then you will not get the reach that you need for your marketing campaign. Now, I must admit that for my own clients, what I do is I will share their contacts, their posts to my contact base. And if you've got somebody you work with that's got a large number of contacts in a marketplace or a niche or a geography that you want to work, and you can come to some agreement with them for them to share your contacts into that, that is nearly as efficient as you sending them directly to those contacts. At least it's getting the message out, it's giving you reach into areas you want to go to that you don't have within your own LinkedIn account and profile at this moment in time. Excuse me. The other thing is, I quite often get asked about how frequently should I post? I think if you turn around to, let's take an example, Birdseye, and said, you can put your Birdseye advert in between every television program that goes out on the television, and we'll only charge you for one advert. They'd say, yes, please. Thank you very much. We don't care about boring people to death. We want everybody to see that advert. And it's the same with your posts. So posts can be done day after day after day after day, and they should be, because people will look at LinkedIn at different times, and you'll note that when you go back to look at your LinkedIn stream, it's been refreshed. The posts that were there even 10 minutes ago will have gone, and a fresh set of posts will have come in. So by having frequent posts, daily posts, you will optimize your chances of your message, your post being looked at, being read, and being actioned. Now, this needn't be hard work. There are products on the market which again are free. The one I particularly use is called Hootsuite. And it's got a lovely little symbol of an owl on the front. And if you download Hootsuite, it used to be free, but now they ask you for your credit card and they offer you a 30-day free trial. But as long as you put it in your diary and remember to go back in on day 28, it gives you an option to downgrade to the free version. Okay, if you don't remember, you're going to find yourself paying your £4 or £6 a month. But if you do remember, you'll get a downgrade to the free version. You can continue using it. Now, what Hootsuite allows you to do, it allows you to create your post, just exactly the same as you've done for LinkedIn, but it does two further things for you. One is it says, what platforms do you want to post this to? So if you've got a Facebook page or a Facebook business page, as well as your LinkedIn page or Instagram, you can say, I want this post to go to all of them. And Hootsuite will post it for you onto all those platforms on the single keystroke. The second thing Hootsuite does, it allows you to schedule your posts. So you can say, instead of having to get there every day and say, I've got to put another post out today, you establish your post, be happy with it, and you can say, I want this to go out on Monday at 10 o'clock, on Tuesday at 2 o'clock, on Wednesday at 6 o'clock, on Thursday, and you schedule into the future, and again on one keystroke, your post will then go out on each of those occasions, it will appear in the stream, and it will go on all the platforms you've asked Hootsuite to put it on. So you've taken this activity from being labor intensive to being a very simple process that you just do the once up front, you take some time over it, you get your message right, you get your image right, you get your branding right, you get your call to action right, you get your landing page right, and then it's practically an automated process. And that will then take you on into a big and successful, hopefully, marketing campaign, which will give you the opportunity to promote your business in the marketplace at this moment in time. Because as I said earlier on, your business might be suffering, but your competitors will be suffering in exactly the same way. Now is the time to be focused and to be increasing your marketing activity, so that when we come out the other side, if your competitors have not done so, you'll be the person, the business, whose name and whose products and whose services will be on their mind. And when they turn back into potential clients at the end of the virus, then you'll be where they come to. So that's really what I do. That's how I do it. I hope that has been of some value. If I only promote a few of you to say, I'm going to do this, then it's been really worthwhile. Let me just say that as part of my contribution to the ChamberConnect activities, is at the end of this session, when you have a chance to think about this, if you want to connect to me on LinkedIn and send me a direct message, or even give me a phone call, because there's some things you've thought about after you've had a chance to think about it, or you're going through the process of doing these things and you're struggling with anything, just give me a call. I will be delighted to help. That's me finished, Simon. Very difficult to get the timings exactly right on these things, but that's the content I planned. I nearly always go too fast, so I apologise for that. But if there are any questions that people have, then if you'd like to take over control, I'll be more than happy to cover them and answer them.
That's perfect. Thank you, Adrian, for that. I've got some questions that were sent in that might stimulate some more to come from the audience. Well, what we can do again is just remind those who are watching and listening two ways to do so. If you want to type a question in the text box, it will come up and we'll be able to see them. If you'd like to ask a question in person, use the participant button to click, and then you'll be able to see an option there to raise your hand, and we'll be able to come to you. There's a couple in there already, so thank you for those who have started the questions. But can I just take you back, Adrian, to one of the things you said in the presentation in terms of free imagery? Where is the best place to find that? Is it just a case of going on the web and typing in free images? Do you have a best place or best practice to look for those?
Yes, I do. Obviously, people can find their own, but I've used 3 sites, and those sites have really high quality images. They have a vast array of different images, which means that you can pick and choose something that you like, you think will get people's attention, and also things that relate to your business, if that's what you want to do. And first of those is called Pexels, P-E-X-E-L-S, pexels.com. And that's UNSPLASH.com. And the third one is called Burst Shopify. That's B-U-R-S-T .shopify, S-H-O-P-I-F-Y.com. And that's where I source mine from. They're all free, they're all high quality, and there's no copyright issues.
Okay, that's great. A couple of questions from the chatter around LinkedIn Premium. Fair few questions in terms of is it worth it? Should you give it a go and try for free? And some who have tried it and not got on with it. So have you a view of LinkedIn Premium?
Yes, I have. But it's always difficult to give views. There might be a LinkedIn reseller joining this session. My personal view is it is not worth the money. It delivers very little extra. It's very expensive. And there's very few things that you can do with premium that you can't do in the free version if you follow the methodology we've talked about today.
Stuart, man, I'm just going to bring you in if you wouldn't mind just articulating your question. It's about creating a landing page. So, Stuart, I'm just going to take your, if I can find you, where have you gone? Just going to take your microphone up. Oh, you've gone. I'll ask you the question instead. Sorry, Stuart, I can't find your microphone switch at the moment. So can landing pages be created in LinkedIn, or does it need to be a web page?
I'm not aware that there is a capability of producing landing pages within LinkedIn. So all the work I've ever done, those landing pages are web pages.
Okay.
And they've been pages which any decent web designer who's done your web design would be able to put together for you for very, very quickly and for practically no money. And if they don't, you should change your web designer.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Katie, Katie Gregory, you've asked a question about making connections. Can I try and bring you in? Katie, can you hear me?
Yes.
Do you mind just running over your question again for Adrian?
So when you connect with someone on a new contact, obviously it asks if you want to be able to leave a comment for that connection. Now, sometimes if you're not necessarily, you don't know who they are, it's a bit hard to put a comment. So what's kind of your advice in that situation?
Sorry, Katie, I didn't understand the question. Please just tell me again.
So when you connect with someone on LinkedIn, it gives you the option to give them to leave a comment on why you're connecting. So it's just what your views are about what to put in that box.
Okay. What I do is I use the standard response, which is available from LinkedIn. Normally, it comes up and says, this is their birthday, do you want to congratulate them? But if you scroll across those, there's one that says, thank you for connecting, I hope you're doing well. And I always send that automatically, just click on that and send that message back to them.
Oh, so you don't personalize it then?
I don't personalize it, no, because for two reasons. One is I don't know them, and I don't want to, they've already kindly connected and I don't want to force them into feeling that they need to respond to me. Secondly, I don't have the time. I'm looking to build the contact base as quickly as I can and with as many numbers as I can. And if I'm only allowing 15 to 20 minutes a day to do this build, then the standard message is polite. And if they do respond to the hope you're keeping well, then you're into a natural dialogue. So that's all I do. I send that standard message.
And another question that I had was, obviously we've been talking about posts with images. What's your view on people who have been posting videos of essentially just them talking?
I personally skip past them every time for two reasons. One is quite often they are extremely long and I don't personally, and the market doesn't have the attention span to listen. If those videos are very short and eye-catching, then maybe, but I personally don't use videos.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Katie, for those questions. Tony Smith, I'm just going to bring you in. You made a point about other ways of introducing. Do you mind just going over that? I've unmuted you.
Yeah, I just unmuted myself as well. So
sorry.
In and out like the okey-dokey. Yeah, the couple of points that I think I raised was one about Sales Navigator. I know you've talked about LinkedIn Premium, but is Sales Navigator the same, and does it have any particular benefits one way or the other?
I don't know the answer to that, to be honest. I think they are the same thing, but I am not 100% sure, Tony. I've never used Sales Navigator myself, but in all the forums I've been in, which is touched on Sales Navigator, it has got the same vibe that it's not value for money. I've always used the approach of using the free LinkedIn because I think it's a 99% solution and it doesn't cost you.
Okay, and the other point was just in relation to what Katie was asking about possibly, but in terms of connecting with people initially, then there's obviously the connect button, but there's also the option to personalise an invite. Just wondered if you've got any comment on that, or does it relate to what you were saying before?
Well, all I can tell you is that in my particular case, I just use the connect button. I literally try and sit there and go connect, 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 and it's a numbers game. And I find that approximately 60% of those connect requests I send out get responded to. As I said earlier, occasionally somebody will say, do I know you? In which case I'll just politely say, no, we haven't met, but I'm looking to build my local network or my UK network. I'd be grateful for a connection. And that's all you need to do and respond to those. For the people who ignore you, then they're probably going to ignore you if you send them flowers. So, you know, that's just a hard-nosed business approach. Just keep pressing that connect button.
Yeah, I suppose the key is that it's making engagement the same as you would do if you were in a room of people networking. Then you're engaging with people and trying to build some rapport.
Yes, indeed. You know, you go across in a networking session and you offer your hand, or you don't these days, but you used to offer your hand and say hello, and that's all you're doing with that connect request. They can either choose not to, which is easier, because when you're in the room, it's rude not to. They're going to shake your hand back. But the conversation goes from there if there's a chance of a conversation.
Okay, thank you, Simon.
Thank you. Now, Stuart Clegg, it's a good question. This is about how many times you actually post something. So do you want to just ask the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, but in your talk, you seem to be saying that you post the same post several times. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so
I repeat the same post, yeah, often daily for 10 days.
Oh, right.
And perhaps I didn't explain it clearly. As the stream in LinkedIn is refreshing all the time. And it depends when people log into LinkedIn, what part of the stream they see. So I want to make sure that they see the post. I want to give them the chance of, if they pass it over the first time, to continue to have the opportunity to click on it and read it. It can never offend anybody. I mean, they'll just skim past it if they say, I've seen that 3 times now. They're not going to write you and say, please don't post this anymore, you're upsetting me. But what it might do on the 3rd time is say, this guy's persistent, maybe there's something I'm going to have a look at here. So, excuse me, Stuart, I don't think there's any problem, and I recommend that you schedule that post multiple times. What I try to do with my private clients is to have 2 or 3 different posting streams going on at the same time, each with a different message, and intermingle them. But again, it's continually posting.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. A similar sort of follow-up question, I suppose, is where you've got a company LinkedIn page and you've also got individuals within the company who have a link to that. You can like the comments that come via the company and therefore broaden the number of hits that you get. Is that good practice, though, just to be liking, or a lot of your posts are liking your company who you are following?
I think liking is not only a nice thing to do, it's a beneficial thing to do. I like all the posts that I find interesting. Even my competitors, I have competitors out there, and if they do a good post, I like it. Because it shows the value of posting, and it shows that you are reading and you are being actively involved in the LinkedIn environment and the LinkedIn networking. I've also got a lot of clients. I've liked people's posts, and people have written to me and said, thank you for liking my post. And I've written back and said, no, it was a pleasure, I enjoyed it. And it started conversations that have won me business. So I think linking is a positive thing to do, and you should do it if there is something that you like when you see it. I really think you should.
Fantastic. Now, Stephanie, I'm going to pronounce your surname incorrectly, so apologies before I make a mess of this. I'm going to unmute you. Stephanie, you put a question up about would this I can't even say the word, methodology apply to all sites? Do you want to explain a little bit more?
Yeah, hi. I was just wondering if you would use the same methodology that you're using for LinkedIn across all the social media sites. I know they do vary slightly, but would you use the same methodology for them all?
Well, I personally am only on LinkedIn, and that's what I major in, and that's what I use, because I'm a business-to-business business. But a lot of people are business to consumers, and therefore they might like to post both to LinkedIn and to Facebook and to Instagram. My clients that are business to consumer and business to business, some of them do both, will use Hootsuite and post their identical posts to all the platforms that they are present on. And they use exactly the same methodology. They create it using the same methodology and then post it across the platforms. And it seems to work very well.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Thanks. I've got a question now in terms of where we are at this particular time, and is there a need to take a different tone to your post that you would do at a different point in time? So it may be around wanting to shout about some of the things that you're doing as an organisation in the light of current coronavirus. Is that a good thing to do at this time, or is there a certain tone you need to take in light of where we are?
I think if your business is making a contribution to the terrible situation we're in, there is absolutely no problem in you letting the world know that. And but I think you need to do it in a way that isn't boastful. It's just in a way that reflects that you want others to make a contribution as well as you're doing. But that aside, I think most of the promotional work I do with customers doesn't touch on COVID-19, other than, for instance, I have a client who is in health and safety, and a lot of businesses out there need COVID-19 health and safety reports completing before they can continue work in their businesses. Now that directly relates to the current virus and the work they do. So I don't know if that answers the question for you, Simon. Okay.
I've got some more, so I'm going to move on to another one, if that's all right. It's in terms of a campaign. How long do you run a campaign for? Is there an optimum number of days, weeks, months, years?
It's personal choice, but it is definitely a middle distance race. It's not a sprint. I think if you do one set of posts and then you're go and hide in the broom cupboard because you didn't get 42 people wanting to order something, then that's not what it's about. Normally, I would say that you should consider doing the campaign for at least a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks, because you will learn from that. As long as you're taking the metrics from the visits to your web page or to your landing page and seeing how successful the campaign is, and you need to take those metrics. If after 3 weeks you have not made a ripple in the market with what you're posting and what your message is, then you need to come to terms with that, and you need to reconstruct a different message, or look at a different target market or a different niche. So a lot of marketing is test marketing. Yeah, if you look at the metrics, if it's been successful, continue it. If it isn't, after 3 weeks, then you need to sit back and rethink. Am I going to the right marketplaces? Am I sending out the right messages? Am I offering people a service or product that is needed? And so the simple answer is about 3 weeks, but I think the important thing is to measure look at the metrics, measure how successful the campaign's being, and you can make a judgment then to stop or continue or change based on those metrics.
Okay, I've got a follow-up question for that, but we are getting quite close in terms of time. So if you wanted to feed through any last-minute questions, just a prompt to do so. But the follow-up question for that, for me, you've touched on part of it, but it's, what does success look like? So you said you can look at the matrix or the outputs, but if you're doing a campaign for the first time, do you set your bar low? Do you set it high? Do you set it medium? How do you know what a success is on a new platform as such?
Well, it's very simple. If you've got a website and if you're running Google Analytics, for instance, which is free, which will tell you how many people are visiting that site, what pages they're looking at, and you take a note of that, and you run your campaign for 10 days, and those numbers have risen greatly, then you have a successful campaign. You can't make people buy, but you can make people think about buying. And if they're looking at you and looking at your website, that is always the best you can achieve. What happens in the real world, hopefully, is those contacts, those metrics turn into contacts directly back to you, with people saying, I'd like to talk to you. Can you send me some more information? Or even, this is what I've been looking for. Let's get together and sort it out. So I think you need to, it's not about where you set the bar will set itself. But you need to know where you're starting from so you can measure the change.
So the final question I've got here, I think you've answered the question, and I'm leading you into something that you've said already, but I don't think it's a bad thing to run over again. Do we wait to do anything until things start to pick up, or do we start doing things now in terms of LinkedIn?
That's a very simple question. Today, do it today. Everybody, contact me if you've got any problems with it. I'm happy to help, but turn those ideas that you've got in your head into an action plan, into a campaign. You can do most of this yourself for free. So get out there and do it. Get yourself refocused. Get your name, your business, your service, your product out into the marketplace. Because sooner or later, things are going to change, and you want to be the one who is at the end of those benefits when those changes come. Can't emphasize that enough. That's the whole point of today, is hopefully to motivate some of the people who have been kindly listening to go out there and have a go at doing this themselves, and just taking the methodology, adapting it if they want to their own needs, but going out there and doing it. Don't sit back, don't hibernate, focus, get out there and do it.
That's fantastic. So that's rounded up that lovely. Thank you for that, Adrian. So thank you very much for all of you who have joined us today. We hopefully you have found that invaluable in terms of the last hour you've spent with us. We've got some more ChamberConnect series webinars next week. We've got one on international trade, and we've got a further employment HR update next week as well. Keep an eye on our website, links-chamber.co.uk/events, where you can see the latest lists and book on to those events. Any further ideas, or if you want to leave us some feedback, events@links-chamber.co.uk is the place to go. So thank you once again to Adrian Williams of Consistent Sales Excellence. To you all, thank you for your time, and I hope you have a very productive afternoon. Thank you once again. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time. It's really appreciated.